And we're live.
We're never really live. Just want to say that, dude.
Yeah,
I was waiting for you to say that.
we're never live. That's true.
And we're live, though.
We're alive.
Yes, we are.
We're alive, and we are here. We're here. And this is episode 5 of the Longevity Hour with Coach Milad and Coach Ryan, the only coaches that you need to listen and take advice from. So just forget about the rest. Just kidding. What are we talking about today, Ryan? What are we hitting?
Today, we are talking about fat loss, specifically programming workouts for fat loss, like the workout side of fat loss. That's what we're going over today.
Hell yeah. Training for fat loss. And yeah, I love this topic. I think it's not covered enough because the common like tagline or thing you hear when it comes to fat loss is like, oh, abs are made in the kitchen and it's 70-80% nutrition, which is all true, and we're going to touch on that. But I actually think training, and you probably think the same, like training and workouts play a tremendous role in fat loss. And I think typically like most folks, I mean, it depends. Usually when you're first getting into it, like you want to lose fat to look better, or you have like an aesthetic goal in mind. And if you're not training the right way, then you're going to be in for a surprise, because you're not going to look too great if you lose muscle and fat at the same time. So we'll touch on that too. There's a specific way you want to train so that you look good and feel good. And maybe we can start with a little story time. Good cop, bad cop, good cop, or what you shouldn't do versus what you should do. I will share my anecdotes of what you shouldn't do, and then Ryan, which is, I think you're like the master fat loss coach because you live and breathe it, and you're in your execution, in your own life is so great. So
not always,
not always, but
not always.
We'll see. They'll hear compared to me. So I guess I have a couple of funny stories. In college, me and Ryan were both like really into Tim Ferriss, and he released this book called The 4-Hour Body. And in that book, he had a diet called the slow carb diet. And the slow carb diet is basically, it's not necessarily keto. It's not super strict where you're like cutting out all carbs, but it's a lower carb diet. So no bread. I think it's like you can't consume things that are white. So no bread, no rice, no pasta. Beans are okay. No like sugar, no added sugar, no dairy.
No fruit.
Oh yeah, no fruit. That was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That was, and it's funny because like I remember, let's speak of the devil. Speak of the devil.
There you have it right there. Nice.
Yeah, always, dude. Just kidding. But that's like one of the interesting. I actually like recently looked at it, and like the whole no fruit thing is so funny, because he's very like scientific and like, here's why you shouldn't be having fruit, and it's like the whole like, okay, like fruit is made out of fructose, and like fructose is actually something that spikes your blood sugar up higher than actual glucose or regular sugar, and so you should not have fruit because of the fructose. But what he forgets to mention, and I'm sure he's changed his mind, or I don't know if he has, I haven't followed up. But,
I don't know.
Yeah. When you have fruit, you're also consuming fiber, especially if you're not juicing it. So the fiber and the fructose intake at the same time, the way that your stomach absorbs it, and the way that your body metabolizes it, it's different on your blood sugar. And fiber is actually really good for you. And the micronutrients in fruits is really good for you, specifically. I mean, one thing everyone knows, like the vitamin C in oranges. You and I have been sick last week. I don't know. Have you been crushing vitamin C? Not that I guess it's like when you're sick, it doesn't really help as much, but it's more of like a preventative thing. But I always eat like 10 oranges a day when I'm sick. I don't know about you.
My diet's been pretty the same. I've been good with my fruits and veggies lately, to be honest.
You're consistent.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Anyways, slow carb diet. So yeah, like no carbs, basically. I think you can have, yeah, like you can have veggies and you can have protein and then certain fats.
Fats, yeah.
Yeah. So I ran that for a while. Like I did that for, I don't know, maybe like 2 months, and I saw great results. Like I immediately, like when you go on a slow carb diet or a low carb diet, you immediately see results in the first 3 days because you lose a ton of water weight. So you can see like, oh wow, I lost like 2 pounds, and like your muscles feel like they're a little bit more toned up because you lack that water weight, which is why like keto is so popular, or even the carnivore diet is so popular, because people see immediate results and they're like, oh, this is working. When in reality, you're just losing a ton of water weight, because carbohydrates, if you didn't know this, they retain the most water out of all the macronutrients. So compared to fats and protein. So when you cut those out, you lose the water and you lose weight and you look better. And you're like,
Carbohydrate.
damn, dude, I
There
didn't
you
even
go,
know.
bro.
Just freaking chem, going back to chem. So yeah, I looked good, felt good. But the issue was, like most of these, like, fad diets or very restrictive diets, your brain starts playing tricks on you. Your mind starts acting a fool. And at the time, I was working at a restaurant at a hotel called El Encanto as a food runner. And one of my jobs was in the morning I would come in and I would have to bake like fresh baguettes. And then throughout the day, I would take these fresh baguettes and I would like chop them off really small and like serve them with butter to tables for the guests. And when you just don't have bread for like 2 months, especially as a Persian man, where bread is like a big part of our genetics, nutritional genetics, that's something I've made up, where rice and bread is part of my
In your blood.
ancestry's. Yeah. So like not having it, I was starting to like really be attracted to that bread. Like I was just like staring at it, and like it's really interesting. It's like a mind fuck. Like wow, like the way that your psychology changes. Anyways, so eventually I stopped doing the slow carb diet because I couldn't do it, and then I just bounced back. Like you go from restrictive to binging, and I was binging bread. Like on my breaks at El Encanto, I would literally eat like a baguette, like a full baguette with butter, like, and I would have 2 breaks, so I'd eat like 2 baguettes.
So did you gain it all back?
Yeah, I did.
Hell yeah.
I did. I gained it all back.
Hell yeah. You know what else was in the slow carb diet? Was
What?
that you would have one cheat day per week.
Mm.
And
Oh, I forgot about
so
that.
all
Yeah.
week you're having these cravings, right? Monday through Saturday or whatever. And you're just like anticipating the most craziest cheat day ever. I remember because we did that diet together. And I remember just thinking, like going to bed and be like, Taco Bell, Sunday, it's going down. Dude, I would slam a whole entire pizza and I would still be like, all right, what's next? Like, let's go to sushi tonight. And it was insane. Um, yeah, it's like restrictive versus flexible. That's an example of probably, I don't know, an ultra restrictive diet. It was pretty restrictive to the point where you're
Yeah.
having insane cravings and stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
not ideal for long-term success.
No, no, it's nice for a quick fix, and like, yeah, I would say, the pros were I think it was probably the first time I actually ever went on a diet, and it was cool to
Yeah.
like kind of change up, what you're eating, come up with new
Hmm.
recipes, and you're kind of bought into this like philosophy of eating. So you're like, oh, okay, this is cool, this is new. Learn a little bit more about nutrition, because even at that time we weren't even. It was like freshman sophomore year, so we weren't even learning about nutrition or anything like that yet, in anatomy or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's also, there's that dark side where it could cause that like restrict binge cycle of doom, the yo-yo dieting thing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, oh yeah, the cheat meals were so interesting, because even in the book he was like, write down what you want like during the
Yeah,
week, like literally
yeah,
write it down in a notebook or in your notes app, and then when Sunday comes, like eat whatever you can. And he was like, it's actually like, you can't actually eat all the calories that you've been cutting, which I actually think is false. Like you can do some
yeah. No,
damage.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. um but I think I it kind of makes sense, because it's like, you know you're eating clean for like 6 days out of the week, and then if you just try to crush like greasy or super
Hmm.
carby food, his thinking was like physically your stomach wouldn't want it, which it might be true for some, but for soldiers like us, like that doesn't
Yeah.
apply.
No, yeah,
Um,
I learned some stuff too in that process. Like I still have that, for breakfast, a lot of the breakfasts are like eggs and beans and spinach. Like that's still a really good staple of my meals too. It
yeah,
was fun. It was fun. That was like one of the first, I don't even know how you categorize that book, but it was like one of the first, I don't know, yeah, diet and health books I read. I thought it was interesting at the time.
like a self help, like a health self help.
Yeah, like a physical self-help book. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I thought it
yeah,
was interesting.
yeah. There's some good stuff in that book, and it's
Well outdated now.
yeah, 100%. But
Yeah.
it's cool. Like I think it was like one of the first of its time.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, the other thing that another part of, so it's like the two common things when it comes to like fat loss is like yo-yo dieting or restrictive dieting, and then like trying to out exercise your shitty diet.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I've done that, like, and mostly with running. I was training for a marathon. I think it's probably been like 2 years at this point, and I was like, okay, like I'm getting all this mileage in, so I can just eat whatever I want. And basically, in the course of training for a marathon, not only was like my nutrition wasn't complementing my runs, so I was eating a lot of like super fatty, super greasy food instead of focusing on lower fat, higher uh, complex
Carbs.
carbohydrates. Yeah, complex, not even like simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so what I would end up is like I would eat a ton of food at night, knowing that I'm going to go on a long run the next day. I would get horrible sleep, wake up, feel like crap, barely get through my run, and then I gained weight while
Because
marathon training.
you were eating ultra fatty foods
Yeah,
instead of the
I
carbs.
was still like it, even though I was running like, anywhere
Yeah.
between 30 to 40 miles a week, I was still eating way more calories,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
right? And we're going to talk about this, like calories in versus calories out. Even though I was burning like a ton of calories, I still wasn't out burning how much I was eating. Which, that's one part of it, but even the quality of food and how I felt, right? Like if you're stuffing your face so much because you're like, oh, I'm gonna go out exercise this tomorrow, but you get horrible sleep, so then you're not recovered enough to do the workout, and then you beat yourself up by doing the workout. It's just a recipe for disaster. So that was a good learning lesson. And now that I'll be training again for a marathon this year, I know I know how to do it.
You
So
learned
yeah,
to.
but let's hear yours. Like, I mean, how do you typically do it? Like, because you've been successful you've gone through so many cycles of like losing weight, maintaining, gaining weight. And
Hmm.
from my perspective, you have a pretty good relationship with food and the whole process. So like, what's your secret, man?
Yeah. So fat loss. It is important to note because we're going to talk mainly about the workouts, the workout side of it, the calories burned side of it, workout programming for fat loss. But it's very important to note that in order to achieve fat loss, it's all about energy balance. Energy meaning calories. So think about calorie balance, calories in versus calories out. So nutrition does play a big part in this equation. So I think it's important to note, like kind of what you were describing just now, you cannot outtrain a poor diet. So you're going to have to, address some nutritional things along this process. So nutrition is very important for fat loss. Now, it's not the only thing because another mistake that people make is yes, they go on a diet, maybe they don't work out, or maybe they're on a diet, but like their workouts are just maybe only cardio, like they're only doing cardio, only running, and they're not implementing strength training or certain modalities, what we'll go over today, of proper strength training modalities for fat loss. So, like, in the past, when I was like a new trainer, I would say things like, "Oh, a fat loss workout should be the same as a like a muscle building workout." But now I'm a little bit more educated. I've learned a little bit more strategies for strength training, just specifically for fat loss. But um, so yeah, first and foremost, nutrition important. Now, calories burned. What are some good strategies for workouts and burning calories and setting up your workouts? So We have some good strategies that we use, or I use for training our clients. A lot of it has to do with metabolic conditioning. Okay, so variables that we can manipulate for strength training for fat loss. Reps, so reps in a workout, like how many reps you're doing. We want to typically have that a little bit on the higher end. Okay, so think of reps, rep range of like 10 to 20 or so, instead of like low reps like 5 and stuff. That would be really good for strength, like good for muscle. So we have different, different styles of metabolic conditioning. So the first one is German body composition. So what German body composition is, or GBC, it is basically you pair an upper body exercise with a lower body exercise. So think like pairing a squat with a chin up. So that is an example of GBC. You have higher reps, a little bit lower on the rest time. So think like 60 to 30 seconds or so. So squat, chin up. Okay, rest 60 seconds in between. That's German body composition. That's an example of metabolic conditioning. Really,
And when,
really good for fat loss.
and when you say pair, like you mean supersetting, like,
Mhm.
and I don't know. Can you explain supersetting? Because I know some people don't know what that is.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So supersetting, so you could do like straight sets, right? You could just do like 3 sets of 10 for squats. So you do a squat, rest for however long, like 2 minutes, and then do another set of squats. That's an example of straight sets. And that's really good for building strength, among other things. They have a time and a place, right? But what we're talking about right now is supersetting, so pairing two exercises together. So imagine you're in the gym, you take a dumbbell, you set it up by a pull-up bar. So you do a set of goblet squats. Okay, so you do 10 reps, or no, let's do 12 reps of goblet squats. You put it down, you rest, let's say in this example, 1 minute, and then you go straight into chin-ups or pull-ups. You do like however many you can do, 6 pull-ups, and then again you rest for a minute, and then you go back to goblet squats. So in this example, if you were to do 3 sets of 12 and you're supersetting the squats and chin-ups, you do 12 squats, rest a minute, do your chin-ups, rest a minute, 12 squats, boom, boom, when you do that 3 times.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I know some protocols call for like no rest in between the exercises.
Mhm.
So squat and then immediately jump into your pull up and then rest and then rinse and repeat for 3 sets.
hmm Yeah, so that is an example of GBC, German body composition, really good for fat loss. So that is a good idea. Then we have agonist supersets. So we're talking about supersets again. Now agonist supersets is pairing the same like two exercises back to back, but they're working the same muscle group and they're multi-joint exercises. So an example of that would be like a bench press. You rest however long, like 30 seconds to a minute, and then go straight into push-ups. So it's the same, very similar exercises, similar movements. Um, Really good for fat loss. So you could do that. You could do, what's another example? Barbell back squats, and then another version of squats, like a cyclist goblet squat. Agonist supersets. Also a form of metabolic conditioning, really good for fat loss. Um, Another example of a good style of program or a way of programming for fat loss that is metabolic conditioning is post exhaustion. So, what that is pairing, again, supersetting, a multi joint exercise with an isolation exercise. So, we have something like multi joint movement, like a barbell squat or a goblet squat. Pair that with a leg extension, which is like an isolation. So, you're isolating one joint or one muscle. So it's very similar to agonist superset, but this one is pairing a multi-joint with a isolation. Okay, also good for fat loss. So that is post-exhaustion. The fourth one that we typically use, currently, that I've been using a lot of is trisets. So taking it even further, trisets is 3 supersets, 3 exercises, boom, boom, boom. Very similar to, it's like basically 3 agonist supersets in a row. So think barbell back squat, goblet squat, or a goblet cyclist squat, and then a leg press. So three similar movements, boom, 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 with probably 30 to 60 seconds rest, depending on where you're at in in your program, like how many months you've been doing it or so. So those are examples of really good ways to program for fat loss. Program your workouts for fat loss.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great. And the reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, so basically the reason that that works better for fat loss as opposed to going lower rep and higher weight and longer rest time is that you're burning more calories because your heart rate's going to be higher because there's less rest and you're doing multiple exercises in a row, and you're causing extra metabolic damage or like fatigue within the muscles, which really emphasize or accentuate, or I don't know, whatever, just emphasize the muscle building process, basically. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, it's going to help with the energy balance that we talked about earlier. You are going to burn more calories in that workout. And it's good for conditioning too. Really good for your heart and lungs. So yeah, burn more calories. And you get a crap ton of other benefits along the way too in your workout. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons that these are really good for fat loss. Burn more calories.
Yeah, and I think also like psychologically, like if you're someone that enjoys like feeling like you did some work during your
Mm-hmm.
workout, this is a great
Mm-hmm.
method because you'll feel like the muscle pump, you'll have that increased respiration rate where you're breathing heavy and you're sweating and you feel like you did something. So I love this. And yeah, I mean, I think, the classic, if you ever have worked with a personal trainer, you get an hour. So more than likely, you're going to do some form of a superset. So even in my, in-person practice, like I do the trisets and I do the supersets. So the trisets, I usually will just do like, upper body, lower body, and then some sort of core or isolation. And that's great. Like that's a great combo. And then at the end, I'll do like some sort of agonist where it's crazy burn and it,
Mm-hmm.
you feel like, depending on the client, right? I mean, some people can't do it, but if someone I've been training and they're like, yeah, I just want a great workout, and they want to leave with the endorphins and stuff, which plays a huge role in adherence, like a lot of times when, you listen to certain coaches or influencers talking about working out, they're like, oh, like the way that you work out doesn't actually make a difference for fat loss. It's all about calories in versus calories out. And in my opinion, those people have never actually trained enough people to understand the psychology behind picking the right workouts based on the goal. And they have a point, but I think when it comes to fat loss, like most people want to feel like they're working and they're getting their heart rate up and they're sweating. And again, you will burn on average like at least 10% more calories. And if you're consistent and you're burning 10% more calories, this is a conservative estimate. Sometimes it's like 25%, right? You do that 3 times a week over the course of 6 months, those extra added burned calories, they add up, right? And that turns into like, yeah, a treat meal at the end of the day or whatever, right? So that does make a difference. And yeah, I think another part of this equation is like cardio and steps. So we went over like the resistance training protocol. I think also like one other part of this to mention is talking about like, okay, like, we mentioned some people will just only diet for fat loss, right? And if you're not resistance training, what ends up happening is your body is also going to be burning that muscle in addition to the fat if you're in a caloric deficit. It's just going to take whatever tissue it has access to, and it's going to burn that and get rid of it. And for most of you listening, you're probably in, the youngest person listening to this is probably in their mid-20s. Most people are anywhere up to their 60s or whatever, right? And you can't afford to lose muscle
Mm-hmm.
at any point after the age of 30. And if you're trying to lose weight without resistance training, you are 100% going to lose muscle. So that's why we do the resistance training this exact way. Not only are you burning extra calories, but you're also maintaining, and if you're a new lifter, you're building muscle at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. And that's the holy freaking grail. And you could do that for upwards of 1.5 years. That's amazing. So that's why
And
we do it like this.
you're more likely to gain the weight back if you're not resistance training too.
Yeah. Yeah. And why is that?
Okay, so lean muscle mass has a lot to do with metabolism. So how many calories you're burning just at rest, like your BMR. And if that number goes severely down because you're losing a lot of lean muscle mass, it's going to be harder to maintain that result. And that's, an example that we're seeing now is Ozempic. So, if you're on Ozempic and not working out, you're more likely to gain it all back because
Yeah.
of that metabolism, that metabolic effect.
Yeah. Like, if you have a certain amount of muscle when you're first starting out and it's like, okay, because of that muscle and the fat and other tissues, because they take in calories, they need calories to exist. Let's say that's 2,000 calories.
Hmm.
If you lose a ton of
Hmm.
weight and you lose that muscle, which is a great burner of calories, then your set point is now 1,500 calories. So you just lost 500 calories because you didn't do any resistance training. And then when you're off of Ozempic or you're off of your diet, you have
Hmm.
to always eat 500 calories less. And maybe your appetite hasn't adjusted to that or your psychology hasn't adjusted to that. So it's going to make it a lot harder to maintain your weight loss. And yeah, I feel like a lot of people forget about that. Anyways, let's talk about
Cardio.
cardizzies. It's a great tool for fat loss. It's like a fundamental thing, like it's a non-negotiable for fat loss. In addition to that, it's also just good for your health in general. So you should be doing it. And it's not like, hey, go out and start, sign up for a race or a swim or whatever. No, it's just like all you got to do to start is to just walk. Like walking is amazing for fat loss, and it's one of those things that is just kind of like underrated. Like you don't appreciate it until it's gone or until you've actually done it, right? It works on so many levels. You burn calories, you get out of the house, you feel better, you can make it a part of just like your community or add an accountability, do it with friends, do it with your lover, whatever. But basically if you're just starting out, what you want to focus on is getting anywhere between 8 to 12,000 steps per day. Start with 8 and ramp it up by 500 steps every week. I would start there. You could do it just walk. I mean, ideally, like when it comes to those steps in the cardio, like we recommend doing it outside because it's just make it a part of your routine. It's going to be good for your mental health. It's, most people are working from home or they're in the office. So everyone should just be outside at least for an hour every day anyways. So why not pair that, like we said, habit pairing in the last podcast. But why not pair those habits together? Get outside, go out with a friend, get some steps in, 8 to 12,000. And then once you're getting into a rhythm with your cardio, maybe after 8 weeks, toss in something that's going to increase your heart rate. So you can do some HIIT training. Basically, HIIT is high intensity interval training. So doing like a sprint or even a run for 30 seconds and then doing a walk or resting for a minute. So that's a 1-to-2 work rest ratio. So when you're first starting with HIIT, what you want to focus on is pick like a time frame under a minute. Usually it's 30 seconds. It could even be 10. That's your work time. So that's how long you're going to sprint for, 30 seconds. And then your rest time should be at a minimum double that in order for you to not die or throw up or cause horrific ligament or tissue damage. So, you could start with sprints, sprint for 30 seconds, walk or rest for a minute, do 10 rounds of that. That's going to be amazing. You're going to feel great. You're going to burn calories. You can do it with a sled. You can do it with battle ropes. You could do it on a rower. You could swim. You could jump. I mean, the possibilities are freaking endless with HIIT. And I've actually been adding in some more HIIT to my routine just to spice things up. And like we talked about the psychological element of getting sweaty and being out of breath. Like I'm pretty fit when it comes to my cardiovascular capacity, but there are still things that challenge me. So at the end of my lifts, I'll do 10, 30-second sprints, rest for a minute, and it feels amazing and I'm sore and it just feels good. I feel
Just
like I
like
did
on
some
the treadmill?
outside.
Oh, okay.
I just do it like in
Just
my
like on a
street.
track or something? Oh, on the street?
Yeah, like literally
Nice.
in the front of my house.
Hell yeah.
Or jump ropes. Yeah, and it feels great.
Yeah, you've been getting into
And
jump ropes, huh?
yeah, jump ropes fun. I mean,
Yeah, I like it. It's a really
I've
good
always
exercise.
It is. It's great for your feet and your like Achilles tendon and even your knees and your hips. And it's pretty like relatively like low. It's like a kind of like a sneaky way to like do plyometrics. And I mean this was a thing we said like, when's the last time you jumped, right? Like not a lot of people jump. So get back into jumping, my friends. Um and then the other thing that's great for fat loss when it comes to cardio is zone two. So zone two, we've gone over this before, but basically zone two cardio, zone two refers to like zones of your heart rate, and there's 5 zones, and it's a percentage of your max heart rate. And zone two is like anywhere between 50 to 65%. It's a lower intensity. Now, you don't have to get too scientific about it. The best way to be in zone two is that you're performing a cardiovascular activity and you can maintain a conversation while doing so. It's still slightly challenging, but you can do it. So if you're jogging with a friend, you guys can talk, but it's a little bit harder. So it's not a super hard run or sustained effort. It's just, low intensity and you're just doing it for a prolonged period of time. Again, start with 2 sessions a week at 30 minutes, ramp it up to 3 sessions at 45 for like really kind of optimizing. And that's in addition to doing, that could be part of like your 8 to 12,000 steps, but just consider it like the cherry on top. And in terms of like, again, a lot of people are intimidated with cardio. Like, you tell someone, hey, you need to start doing some cardio. It's scary. It's daunting. It's like, oh shit, like I have to, go back to the trauma of middle school where they made us run a mile and it sucked. It's like, no, you don't have to run. You could just walk. Start by walking and then add in some hills. And then maybe find something you like to do at a higher intensity, whether it be jump roping or throwing a medicine ball into the ground or boxing. I mean, there's so many ways to do this. And if y'all need some suggestions, like leave a comment down below, or message us on whatever social. We're everywhere, by the way. So the smart way to do it is find something you like, start small, and ramp your way up. And when I say progress, every 4 weeks. So 8K steps for 4 weeks. Then I'm going to add 500. So 8,500 every single day for another 4 weeks. Then we're at week 8. Now you're at 9,000. And just keep going until it slowly becomes a part of your routine. And I know, like, I think, Ryan, you're really good at this coaching technique, like periodization for fat loss, which is not something a lot of coaches talk about or a lot of people talk about. And periodization, for people that are unfamiliar with the term, it's just like a fancy way of like progressing and dynamically changing a program, so you're always challenged and you're always progressing. So yeah, like give us some insight into like what you think about when it comes to
Yeah.
that.
Periodization. So basically what that is, or how I describe what periodization is, it's like, say you have a time frame of your fat loss phase, let's say it's 12 weeks long. Periodization is like, how are we going to get from point A to point B, and what variables are we going to manipulate at what point? So I'll say that one more time. What variables are you going to manipulate at what point? Because a common mistake is either just sticking with the same program for too long, or like switching things up like every single week and doing something different every week. Or another common mistake is just going like balls to the wall like early on and just saying like, I'm going to start with 14,000 steps every day. I'm going to work out 6 times a week. And while that's great, you're ambitious, a better way is to start out a little bit slow, start out a little bit lighter, and then progress from there. So an example of kind of what we do, let's give an example of 12 weeks. Let's say we have 12 weeks for your fat loss phase, and we're going to give an example of periodization. So let's say weeks 1 through 4, we are going to do that GBC, that German body composition training, where you go into the gym, you do your goblet squats and chin-ups back to back, okay? We are going to set you at 8,000 steps per day, or meet you where you're at. Maybe it's 7,000. We're going to start wherever you're at, 7 or 8,000. And we're also going to do 2 cardio sessions per week for 20 minutes, whatever your favorite whatever your favorite modality is, like Milad said, go for a run, do your rowing, swimming, jogging, whatever. So that is weeks 1 through 4. Now we're going to progress because we don't want to plateau. We don't want to plateau. Weeks 5 through 8, so let's say this is phase 2, we're going to move on to agonist supersets because that's actually more challenging than GBC. So we're going to move on to agonist supersets, which again was like your bench press and push-ups, two multi-joint movements working the same muscle groups. So we're moving on to agonist supersets. We're going to increase your steps from what was 8,000. We're going to increase that to 10,000. We are also going to increase your cardio from 2 sessions of 20 minutes to now 2 sessions of 30 minutes. Okay. You do that for a month, or you do that for 4 weeks. You do that for a month. Now we're going to periodize again or progress again we're going to do trisets now. So 3 agonist supersets back to back. We're increasing the demand as we go. So trisets, we're going to increase your steps to 12,000 per day. And we're going to increase your cardio to 2 sessions of 40 minutes per week. So what we just did is we said, we're not going to start with the trisets, 12,000s per day, 2 sessions of 40 minutes. That could go wrong. I don't know. Maybe you could get injured. It's just too much demand. Maybe you're going to get really sore from the trisets. It's not sustainable. And then where are we going to go from there? What happens when we plateau? We already used all of our tools. We can't like backtrack. So that's why we periodize. We start off, and this is just one example, start off with the GBC, 8,000 steps, 2 sessions cardio, increase everything from there, phase 2, and increase everything from there, phase 3. That way, you're less likely to plateau. You're not putting all your tools early on, and you're more likely to have that linear decrease in the fat mass or the body fat instead of plateauing. So that's what periodization is. I think it's an important topic to know because I think a lot of people when it comes to program design, they like I said, they either change everything up like every single week and they don't know what they're doing, or they just go like guns a-blazing and just go mode. And yeah. So periodization, really important. Okay, you can pair all of that, like that plan that I just gave you, that very simple and quick 12-week plan. You can also pair that with nutrition too. And it's important to pair it with nutrition too. Because again, you don't want to stagnate your progress. So maybe we start you off, and I don't want to get too into the weeds with nutrition, but just an example, we can start you off month 1. Let's say we're tracking calories or we're just eyeballing calories. Let's say we start you off at 2,000 calories month 1. Month 2, maybe we're going to go down to 1,800 calories. Month 3, maybe we're going to go to 1,600 calories. So in general, that is an example of periodization, an important thing when it comes to this whole fat loss program design.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like a couple things to know. It's important to think about, this as a long-term process. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 12 weeks. Like that's not how we do things here, because that's unsustainable. Regardless if it's Ozempic or weight loss surgery or whatever, like, there's outlier cases, but that shit don't work, right? So this is how you set up a sustainable plan. You slowly scale it up as you become more confident and you gain more skills and you gain more experience, and your body adapts at the same time. Going from eating 3,000 calories to 1,600 calories is a recipe for disaster, and it's a great way to ensure that you're not going to reach your goals. And also, I think a lot of people are like, okay, like I did my steps, I'm not going to do any cardio, right? And I think I actually maybe misspoke when I was saying like, okay, think of your steps as cardio. I mean that initially, right? But it's important to do, like, think of your steps as actually forget what I said. I'm sorry. I'm a fucking idiot, okay? Your steps aren't cardio. Your steps is just it's like another thing that you do every single day, non-negotiable. It's
But I
part
mean,
of,
you get that cardiovascular benefits from steps too. Like going for a
yeah,
walk.
you do, but it's not the same. Like it's not
True.
the same as actually
Yeah,
doing
true,
cardio.
true, true.
And like I think it's
Like
good to
zone 2.
Yeah, and even hit, like, it's good to
Hmm.
think about the steps as like it is a way to burn calories, and it's more for the calorie burn, getting you outside of the house, increasing activity, and less for the cardiovascular component. There
Right.
is benefits there, but to really optimize for your lungs and your heart and longevity, you gotta squeeze in actual, sweating, huffing, and puffing. Which again,
Well
start
said.
two sets of, or two rounds of 20 minutes a week, ramp it up to 2 rounds of 30, 2 rounds of 40, and then, the sky's the limit there. Maybe you're running marathons, whatever. But at a minimum, it should be at least like 3 days a week, 45 minutes, which I think 90 plus, and that's like 120, 150 minutes, I think, is the recommended. Um, yeah, and again, that's all congruently going with a nutrition plan, which we're going to cover nutrition for fat loss either in the next episode or one after that. So that's also going at the same time, and that's why it can kind of be a lot. It is simple to kind of set everything up, but you have to take into account all of these things when you're trying to do fat loss sustainably. Um, and then in terms of like, so when you're setting this stuff up, so like when you're setting up the strength routines, and I think we talked about it a little bit earlier on, but
Hmm.
like, why is lifting like non-negotiable for maintaining muscle mass while losing fat?
Yeah, so strength training for fat loss. Why is strength training like why are we even strength training? If you burn more because you actually burn more calories during your cardio than
Yeah.
you do strength training. So it's like why are we even like are we just wasting our time like strength training? Like what is going on? Why are we strength training in the first place? Why is it a part of our fat loss plan? So a few reasons. One, um, so strength training is good for preserving muscle mass, which we talked about a little bit earlier. That's important for maintaining your metabolism, among other things. And metabolism, in this sense, meaning like how many calories you burn in a day, your BMR. So good for preserving muscle mass. And it's like when you set a fat loss goal, when you set a weight loss goal, it's not just the number. It's not just the number on the scale, right? It's for tons of whatever your reason is, whether it be a health reason, um, or like a body composition reason, like I want to look a certain way. Either one, muscle mass has a part of that. So muscle mass has a part of health. Bone density has a part of health. Aesthetics, like you want to maintain your, if you want abs or whatever, you want to look a certain way. Like muscle mass is an important part of that body composition. So for those reasons, so resistance training is important. Um, Muscle mass and strength have both been positively associated with increase of lifespan, reduced risk of all-cause mortality. So a huge thing, huge thing that we are about is longevity. So resistance training, huge for that.
Huge.
Um, yeah, huge, it's a big thing. So uh, resistance training elevates growth hormone, testosterone, and catecholamines, which help with fat loss. So good for those reasons. And then I mentioned earlier too, um, if you just do, let's say you just diet and cardio alone and you're not lifting weights, you're more likely to gain back weight, gain back your fat. Um, Resistance training improves insulin sensitivity as well. All those reasons. It's very important. Put it into your program. It's a big staple of the
Yeah,
program.
yeah, it's like a non-negotiable, and it's not only going to serve you for your fat loss goals, but it's going to serve you for just having a great life goals, like living
Hmm.
longer, feeling better, being more functional, all the above. Um, and yeah, you just got to do it, and you got to enjoy it. It's just part of life. It's like breathing. And again, like, just to review, best way to go about it: full body workouts or upper lower body splits. Start with the harder stuff, the compound movements first: squats, deadlifts, pull-ups, things moving multiple joints, multiple muscle groups at the same time. Focus on supersetting things together. So your squat, your upper with your lower, or bench press with the push-ups. Short rest times, high reps, a little bit lower on the weights, but not super light, but higher reps is where we're at. Which kind of also leads me to the next thing. and this is also not talked about a lot. Oftentimes, when you kind of like hop right into like a weight loss program or do like a challenge where you're either doing like a David Goggins thing where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go run an ultra marathon and I'm going to fast, or you're doing 75 hard where I'm like, I'm going to do 2 workouts a day. What tends to happen if you're not also doing a little bit of mobility work and warming up and focusing on recovery and doing prehab work at the same time, you burn out and you will get injured physically or mentally, right? So, one thing that most people don't talk about in this whole process is the importance of mobility work, prehab work, warming up, to avoid injuring yourself, and to just make things a whole lot more enjoyable, right? I mean, in our culture, like in Western culture, it's kind of always about like, how do I get to my goal or what I want as soon as freaking possible, and that's what you see in popular media, right? Like, there's a space and time for a like David Goggins kind of mindset where you're like, I don't care about my physical health. I'm just doing this because I want to prove to myself I can do something hard. I totally get that. That's great, but that's not really going to be great for like 95% of the population. It's so easy to sell because it is badass, and it's awesome to see someone going from never running to doing an ultra marathon, or like never lifting weights to being in the gym 5 times a week. But honestly, guys, like, I mean this in the most sincere way, that's just not going to work for you. Like, it's really not going to work for you. You can
Because
look up to them.
if you get, sorry to cut you off, but if
No,
you
you're
get
good.
injured, if you're not like, doing your mobility or warming up and like being smart about it, you get injured, like that is going to take away however many weeks from your journey, whatever your goal is, and
It's going
it's
to
just
make
going
it
to derail it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so much harder, right? So this is what we want you to do, right? So make sure you're warming up every single joint before you start your resistance training, and it could be as simple as just hopping on the treadmill for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then doing the world's greatest stretch, doing some cat cows, and opening up your ankles. That's it. And we have tons of warm up routines, mobility routines, obviously, anywhere you look us up, right? And then do some prehab stuff, right? So before you start, just warm up your rotator cuff with some light band work, something for overhead, engage your glute medius, engage your core with some dead bugs and some planks, work on your tendons, do some wall sits, do some heel raises, like just basic stuff like that, which seem like nonsense exercises that don't really work. They carry so much weight, and they'll play such a great role in preventing any injuries that may pop up, right? So that's going to really help you adhere and be consistent. That's the biggest thing, right? Like, the most important thing in this journey is for you to be consistent with your workouts so that it serves you when it comes to fat loss. So you really have to make sure you're doing everything correctly. So warming up, little prehab stuff, stretch after your workouts. Stretching works. Don't believe the conspiracy theories about stretching not working. Stretching is a real thing, just like vaccines. Um, yeah,
Stretching is a conspiracy, man.
it is, dude. There's
Big
people that are like,
who
static stretching, stop stretching, stop stretching.
who's behind that? Like big strength, or like
Yeah, I don't know who is behind that,
I
dude.
don't know.
Some
Big
people,
golds.
maybe
I don't know.
the hypermobile people,
Yeah.
because hypermobile people should stop stretching. They don't need to, but I don't think they have bad intentions.
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize to hypermobile people for
Catching strays.
yeah, it's not you, it's me. And then sleep. Please sleep. Get some good sleep. That's also gonna help. I always think about this one study, and I actually and this is like funny because I don't know exactly the authors of the study or what happened, but this is an actual study, and I can maybe link it in the bottom. And this is how you know this is real and it's not some chat GPT bullshit. So basically the study is, they had people go through controlled sleep protocols, and some people were allowed to sleep for 8 hours, and then other people could only sleep for 4 hours. And then they basically surveyed them in terms of what they were eating throughout the day. And the people who got less sleep were more likely, statistically substantially more likely, to pick higher caloric foods and hyper palatable foods. So that's a thing. Your sleep will change your, not only obviously it's harder to work out if you have shitty sleep, but it actually changes your behavior and what you're picking. And honestly, that reading that study like really validated me, because as you all know, I have horrible sleep, and
Not anymore. I thought your sleep's good now,
it's
right?
on and
No?
off. It's on and
No?
off.
Right
I'm
now it's
working
off.
last night wasn't horrible. I think I got like 5. No, I got
Yeah.
6.
Okay,
6.
six, not bad.
6, woke up, and then I like read, stretched, did some work, and I went back to bed at 9 a.m. and slept for 90 minutes, and then went on a run, and now we're here.
What an interesting morning. But yeah, I mean, think of lack of sleep. It really messes with your willpower,
Yes,
right? Your decision
100%.
making skills. You're less likely to like be like, yes, I'm gonna stick on my diet today. Like when you're lacking sleep, stress too is a big part of it.
Yeah,
Um, those things can affect your hunger hormones. So you're actually more hungry if your sleep is jacked and you're super stressed. Uh, some people, it's interesting. Some people, when they're super stressed, they have a lack of appetite. Some people, when they're stressed, their appetite goes up through the roof.
yeah,
But you're right to bring that stuff up. The sleep and stress, it can really affect all this stuff that we're talking about.
yeah, 100%. I mean, I for sure, if I get really bad sleep, like in the morning, I just want to eat like 2 breakfast burritos, like the greasiest breakfast burritos. And
Two.
starting your day, it's two. And I always DoorDash it. I DoorDash it. It's 2 breakfast burritos. DoorDash it. Cost me $100.
And you eat them both, or you save one for later, or
No,
what's the
I
move?
eat them both. I
Hell
eat
yeah,
them,
dude.
and I
Good,
feel
dude.
like
Why did I even
shit.
ask?
Why would you save a
Why would?
saving a breakfast burrito is gross because it's like cold eggs. You're gonna microwave it. I mean, I guess you can, but
I don't know.
yeah. So that was it. I mean, that's the gist. Training for fat loss. There's a method to the madness, right? And there's a way to optimize it. If y'all have any questions on it or specific stuff, feel free to toss them. Again, like it's on. I mean, we're on YouTube, and YouTube you can comment. So like comment if you need any help. Message us. We have we have a fat loss program that's amazing on our longevity app. If you want to try that, 30-day free trial, link in bio. And yeah, we also do one-on-one coaching. So if you want someone to assess your body and your nutrition protocols and your lifestyle and create a custom plan specifically to help you lose fat, the exercise plan and the nutrition plan that'll check on you, hit us up. The link for that will be down there as well. I mean, at this point, we've helped, I feel like between us both, like hundreds of people lose fat and keep it off. And I can confidently say that, which is pretty dope, pretty cool. So yeah, let us know, and then let's send her off with some stuff that has nothing to do with fitness. Maybe it has to do with health, but yeah, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, I just got married, and you were the best man. You did a really good speech, and I was thinking about your speech the other day. Part of it, I was like, oh yeah, he said that. It was that story about when you weren't doing your dishes, and I said, hey, if you continue to not do your dishes, I'm going to put them in your bed. And then I followed through with that.
I
And
don't
so
think you
that has
ever
just,
said you never said that you were gonna do it. You just
I
did.
had to.
No, you just did it. Which
What?
was, yeah, you just did it, which is actually kind of like
That's even
funny
worse.
because I didn't even know it was gonna happen. I walk in after class and it's like, oh fuck. Like I thought that something was like I thought that I did it. Like, oh, did I forget to like move my dishes and it just was on my bed?
Dude, so what was your immediate thought when you saw that? And when you realized like, oh shit, Ryan did that. Or like these are my dishes. Like was it
Yeah.
anger? What was it?
No, it wasn't anger, it was like shame. I was like, oh man, like I fucked
Oh
up.
wow.
Yeah. I was never like, damn, fuck this guy for doing that. I was like, oh yeah, like I need to do my dishes and yeah.
Well that shows that you're a good guy and you took ownership like immediately. You're like, oh that's my bad.
Yeah. No, I mean it's facts. I feel like you really helped me to be a better roommate. Because now to this day I'm pretty good about doing my dishes and just like keeping shit clean. But
Nice.
yeah,
Well that's
no.
what's new with me. Marriage.
Nice.
Had the wedding. That was amazing. It was beautiful. And yeah, life is good, man.
Fuck
What's
yeah.
what's going down with you?
Yeah, I mean that was the best wedding I've ever been to in my life, and it set the tone. So when I get married, it has to be on a beach, like non-negotiable, non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You with me? I got a half marathon Sunday in Oakland, so I'm excited for that, and trail run in mid-April, going to Zion for that with some friends. That'll be fun. And I've just been reading. I've been reading a lot of fiction. I read.
Mm.
Well, obviously, I finished. I think I already. I don't know if I said in the last one, but I finished Infinite Jest. But it's been on my mind. I'm actually re-listening to it on
Oh no,
audiobook. Yeah,
for
and
life.
it's like a whole. It's a whole nother thing. Yeah. So
That's cool
that,
though.
and then yeah, it's good. And then I just reread The Stranger. You ever read that, The Stranger?
Oh, yeah. It's in not Cairo or something, right? The one with a
Hey,
gun.
not good
He's
memory. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hell yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Keep going. Let him cook. It's in Algiers,
Yeah, he
but that's in like
shoots a
Africa.
guy or a girl. Yeah. Anyways, okay, so you're rereading that?
Yeah, damn, that's good memory.
I would reread that.
Yeah, it's short. I finished it. It's a great. I mean, it's so interesting. Like going back to like a book that you read in high school. I remember in high school, remember it based off of like the cover because the cover was super interesting,
It's black and white?
and it's kind of it's black and white, but it has kind of like these like it looks like the
Yeah,
sun, you
right.
know.
Yeah.
Um, but like having now whatever it's been since high school 10 15 years of life experience and like also being a little bit more educated on philosophy and just whatever it hits so much harder like
I'll reread it.
it's good, dude. I'm curious to know what you think of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's also like another example. I mean, I don't know if I've told you this, but basically like as I consume as I read more books, live life, gain life experience, I feel like I can now have like very valid opinions about certain things that are counter the popular opinion about it, right? So like I'll read a book like The Stranger and then I'll have my own takeaways from it and then I'll read the like popular analyses of it and I'll be like, "Oh, I don't actually think that that's what's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
happening. Like that's not my opinion of it." But
Hmm.
and I can say that confidently, like I intrinsically feel that. So that's cool too. Like I don't know, it's just reaffirming like I think that's you're on a good path when you can come up with your own opinions and kind of back them up with whatever evidence and be confident in it because I think that's how you push things, right? Even what we do with our business, right? Like no one really has like a longevity program like we do with the cardio and the fitness and the stretching and the prehab stuff. And that's because like we're taking the accumulation of the knowledge from our bachelor degree, years in physical therapy clinics, training people, COVID, all this shit, I'll put it all together, reading research, and just creating our own thing and having evidence to back it up. So,
Hmm.
it's
And you
just,
have your own opinion on everything. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You can't just follow things blindly.
yeah. And it's not like, oh, this is my opinion. Like, it's rooted in like relative research, right? Like, obviously,
Hmm.
everything's not science based. Like, here's this experiment and here's the paper, but here's why I think this and I can
Hmm.
back it up. It's not just like, oh, it's a feeling, it's a vibe.
Caught a vibe.
Kind of vibe. But yeah, so life's good. Thank you all for joining us on episode 5 of the Longevity Hour. Hopefully this was helpful, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. We'll probably talk about fat loss for nutrition, or just do something super random that has nothing to do with fat loss. So
Stay
like
tuned.
you just gotta listen, I guess. Shit. Bye bye.
See you guys.